The chilly wind of September brings on NASCAR, not football. And we have to talk about a race in Kansas here today. As a football game is on currently, we're up against the clock with pre-lock show starting in about an hour and a half, but we had to get on here and talk a little Hollywood Casino 400 that kicks off in just about 4.5 hours. We were just talking. I'm with Taco, who's here with me. This has been, or Kansas in general, has been one of the best tracks in the next gen era. So this stands to be a pretty good race.
Yeah, it really has been. I mean, this spring, sure, we saw Kyle Larson lead like every goddamn lap, but like this is such a fun track. It's probably the best multi-groove. Well, no, it is the best multi-groove track. And there are like 3 lanes. Starts off the inside being fast, right? And then eventually it'll work its way up to the wall. But it's even got that like middle groove that you can choose. So like if you're fast, you're gonna have many ways to get around guys. And the racing we've seen here has been tremendous. We saw the closest finish in NASCAR history here. And yeah, really, since even slightly before the next gen era started, the races here have been just awesome fan wise. I think the fan voting has been really, really positive for this race almost every single time in the last like 5 years.
Yeah, and I think historically what we've seen, and we'll go through this as we get into the research station and everything, but historically what we've seen at Kansas in particular is, well, passing is certainly possible. What we find a lot of the times is that everybody finds their spot pretty quickly. So the third best car is going to run third. The fourth best car is going to run fourth. And we do see these extended green flag runs where there's not a lot of on-track action, but it's not because of lack of passing. It's because all the passing happens in those first 15 laps and everybody kind of finds their spot. The one caveat to that this time is we are working with a tire that is new to the series. We have not used this right side tire before. We have used the left side, but we haven't used this tire combination. And Goodyear themselves has noted this is a unique experiment, which we were musing is a funny thing to try to do in a playoff race. But this is a left side tire we used at Charlotte, Michigan, Indy, and Darlington. The right side tire will be used here and at Las Vegas later. We will get into
random experiments in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like that's a great time to do it.
Exactly, especially when next week is the Roval. So I think we will see increased tire wears. I think that's probably when they say we want to increase strategy with this tire, it usually means there's more fall off in the tire. So we'll flip over to the practice times, which I haven't adjusted quite yet. We do see a little bit of fall off. Christopher Bell, for example, he came out and ran 31 flats by the end of his 25 lap run. He was about a second off the pace. That's typical, I think, of Kansas. That doesn't seem like extreme tire wear. So maybe the tire wear comes in later in the run, but I don't think this tire showed any additional tire wear versus what we've seen in the last couple of races.
Yeah, I remember with Reddick, like he left early. Like he didn't like his car all that much, and then came back was even slower. So it was like, I mean, sometimes in practice here too, guys will try riding the wall, and so they'll look really slow. So I wouldn't worry like too much about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we saw that in the Xfinity. Like we were talking about this yesterday. The Xfinity practice chart was useless because everybody was running different lines and different times. Couldn't really get a feel for who was fast. I think that's probably going to be about the same here, which is ironic coming off a week where practice was probably the most predictive that I've ever seen in 10 years of doing this. So as always, what we'll do, I'm going to cut off about the first 14 laps. We're going to lose Ryan Preece, but we'll be able to glean from the other RFK cars to see what he's got.
I think what we saw in the spring race was like the single lap practice was like about as useless as a practice stat as possible. And like 10 and 15 was like slightly above average, just correlation wise in race speed.
Yeah, that I agree. Actually, I'm going to take this lap up to kind of get, and then I'm going to sort by best 5. So this is best 5 laps after 15 laps run in practice. So kind of gives you an idea of long run. Like I said, this isn't going to be super predictive because everybody has different agendas. The thing that jumps out first is that it seems like Hendrick has brought some speed. We have not seen them be relevant in practice in a few weeks. Um, Now we come back to Kansas, a track where they have historically been, Kyle Larson in particular, has been very good. Seems like they brought a little bit of pace again. So I think Hendrick is back on the menu here. And then, of course, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell.
And
Both
that's just track history. If you look at it, Larson's crushed here. Bowman has been insane here, like 7 straight top 10s. Hamlin, almost always a top 5 car. Christopher Bell, this has been like his best 1.5 mile track. I mean, a lot of this makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it goes a long way in kind of reinforcing some of the ideas that we've had. I want to flip over to correlations. Kansas, for whatever reason, correlates with a ton of racetracks. Richmond being the most correlated, along with New Hampshire, which we were just at. I think that the new tire kind of makes this tougher because this is all based on tire combinations that we had been consistently using. So I wouldn't look too much into Richmond, New Hampshire, or Darlington. Maybe Darlington a little bit.
There's like an overarching thing with this, right? If you notice, Richmond, New Hampshire, Darlington, Las Vegas, they all have really high correlation numbers up top. What does that mean? My best hypothesis for this is those are just like skill expression tracks. So who you think and who you know is going to be good here ends up being good here. Like the best drivers move their way forward. There's less noise.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I want to flip over to historical. I'm going to sort by optimal and then sort by race to see the optimal the last couple races. So starting with this race in the spring, Kyle Larson obviously dominated that race. Led almost every lap, 221 laps, had 66 fast laps, was pretty much untouchable. Anytime he lost the lead, he got it back within a couple laps, and we'll show that on the tracker. Also, three pretty obvious PD plays slipped in there. Josh Berry and Priest both would have been widely owned. And then Alex Bowman, who's great here. Chase Briscoe, who at the time was priced way down. Remember, this is the start of the season before he kind of broke out. And then Corey Heim, who was probably just a bottom.
If you look, Chase Elliott was the only other person to lead laps. Bowman even led some laps. Like Hendrick just dominated the shit out of this race, but a surprising lack of the Hendrick cars dominated the most this season at the intermediate tracks in Byron.
Yeah, and this has historically has been a fine track, but not a great track for Byron. So it does seem like Larson, Bowman, or Chase Elliott are in good position to dominate here, should everything go as practice would predict. I want to go back a couple of races. We'll look at this race last year. Again, 2 top 10 starters in the optimal, including the pole sitter Christopher Bell, who dominated that race. William Byron did hit the optimal. That was his best Kansas race ever. Didn't necessarily run in the top 2, ran in the top 5. And then just kind of borderline PD plays in Chastain and Truex. That 19 car, again, worth noting. And then 2 punt plays. So I guess really this is pretty traditional 1.5 mile strategy, which you can speak to a lot better than I can when it comes to building lineups.
Yeah, and that's just what makes this so nice. Like this is the bread and butter of NASCAR, but this is like the 1.5 mile track done right. I would say, like in my opinion, the second best 1.5 mile track, at least like at the time they got rid of it, was Chicagoland. It kind of started reaching like a Kansas-like level, and they got rid of it. They'll come back to it next year, which is it could potentially be pretty cool. They could fuck it up, who knows? But yeah, Kansas has just stood out as like the clear like best racing track in my opinion over the last several years. So this is a joy to watch. I've been waiting for this one for a few months now.
Yeah, let's go over to the DK average by start, and I'll hand this off to you. What are you seeing here that jumps out when it comes to Kansas and lineup construction?
Yeah, it's pretty standard. I'd say the guys, we've seen a lot of the guys from the rear doing well, which should bode well for the Penske cars. That is a question, like Ken here said. 2 Penske or not to Penske? That is the question. And yeah, obviously last week Penske just fucking dominated. They clearly have min-maxed the short track package. They were hyper aggressive with their tire pressures in practice. You could see almost all of them ran into trouble. Blaney just fucking blew up. Not his engine, but his tire blew up and his car blew up going to backup. Logano just kind of sucked. Really, they all kind of sucked overall. So I would still probably, get plenty of them just because we have seen the guys from the very rear move their way up, and it kind of makes sense. This isn't a choo-choo train track by any means. So Blaney, he's going to have speed in the backup. He's going to move forward. So that's a good thing that we see about this track. And then the middle, I mean, it's kind of random. Like, the 13th through 16th, averaging 19 fantasy points, is where 17th through 20th, averaging 30. And that's with a pretty decent sample size. It's a real mix and match kind of throughout the middle. But we do see like your better drivers moving forward. So I don't know. It's pretty standard, I'd say. I'd say the pole sitter doesn't have as big of an advantage as some other intermediate tracks. That's because there are so many ways to pass. But really, if you're qualifying top 5, you have a lot of speed. Like qualifying is pretty correlative to this track compared to some other intermediate tracks.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that'll be a big question here, especially in this situation, what to do with the pole sitter. I think maybe 3 or 4 races in a row we're at where the pole sitter has not hit the optimal, has not dominated at all. And now Chase Briscoe will be the pole sitter. And what is this? His 7th or 8th pole this season. And I think in 2 of those races, he's led significant laps. So what to do with Chase Briscoe will be an important question.
Yeah, we did see Christopher Bell do a whole lot off of the pole here, but I mean, having Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin starting right behind you is a tall task, but we'll go through that as we see.
Last thing I want to do before we hop into the car by car, let's go to this race in the spring. Again, different tires, so don't look into this too much. I want to sort by fast laps because I think that gives you a real good idea of who had pace. As long as they didn't get caught in strategy.
Yeah.
So Denny Hamlin, I think, is the one that's most important to note here. He had a ton of fast laps, was very fast late in runs, was able to, have the second most fast laps, even though he wrecked out on like lap 200. A lot of those fast laps too, came from 5th or 6th place in the field. He wasn't leading. He was just very fast on the long run. So I think it's worth noting Denny Hamlin had some pace. And then obviously William Byron and all the other Hendrick cars certainly had some pace as well. The other thing I wanted to point out here was just how dominant Larson was. Restart 3rd, immediately take the lead, led for the rest of the race. Anytime, restart 10th, immediately take the lead by, a few laps later. Just absolutely faster than the field. Again, different tire combination, so we can't look too much into this.
Yeah, it's the skill set. It's a changing track, and a track that moves towards the wall. It's just everything about this track just screams Larson. We've seen even going back into the previous generation of car, Larson just being an absolute dominant threat here. It's just the perfect track for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in this race last year, in the playoff race, much more even distribution of fast laps. I think this is probably a representation of, Bell was the best and he started P1, but wasn't necessarily outright faster than the field like Larson was in the spring. Like I said, firing up there again, getting fast laps. Blaney much more competitive than he was here in the spring, and then a pretty even distribution throughout.
A bit of a carnage race here too. Look at the sheer amount of people that led a lap. I think we have a prop for once. We have a number of drivers to lead a lap prop, and it's 10.5. I was looking at it earlier. That's about where it's been, maybe just a touch higher than the last few.
Yeah, you can bang that out in one pit cycle because pit cycles here tend to be 10 to 15 laps long, depending on what your strategy. And if these tires are softer and wear more, then it could be even more than that.
Yeah, I think in this race, I don't think we ended up getting a green flag run long enough. There's quite a bit of cautions in this one.
Yeah.
There are many different ways this thing can shake out, but the cream does rise rise to the top at the end of this. Like,
I think one thing to point out here too, this was very frustrating.
oh
The
yeah,
Eric Kraus 30 fast laps because he kept pitting on off cycles. I don't know. I think he did hit the optimal this race, even though he like started last and finished 30th. He still was in the optimal, so that can happen too. You definitely have to consider hitting off cycle can gain you a bunch of fast laps.
yeah. Especially if you wreck earlier and you're in the playoffs and you're just going full qualifying setup, just cheesing fast laps.
Yeah. Hopefully next year, as part of their rebranding, the fast lap point goes away. I just give it to the pole sitter.
They should have one for most lead laps to incentivize DraftKings scoring.
Yeah. Hell yeah. They used to do that. I mean, I don't. If they're going back to their roots, let's do it. Anyway, let's get into this one by one. I think we've done a pretty good idea of setting the stage. Traditional lineup construction techniques, 1, 2, or even 3, probably 2, but at least 2 top 10 starters for the most part, or dominators, at least 2 dominators. Find some guys in this middle section, 11 to 20, that you feel comfortable. And then there's going to be some really obvious place differential plays that we'll get to relatively quickly here. But yeah, on top of the podium, and the guy who I've earmarked as my favorite play, Kyle Larson. I expect a bit of a return to form here for him. Very fast in practice, very fast here in the spring. And like you said, this is a track where drivers can express their skill. And if this tire combination, track temperature combination allows this race to move towards the wall, then it's immediately advantage Kyle Larson. And even without that, I think he's in really good shape here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like his ownership should be 50% here. It's just how much do you think people look at Bristol and go, okay, well, he clobbered the shit out of Bristol the last several times, but he was non-existent this last race. I mean, he's on like what a 17 race winless streak. I think the last time we saw him win was here in Kansas back in like May, April.
Yeah.
So that's going to hold ownership down. Yeah. Yeah. But we still see clearly lead in practice overall. I don't see any reason why not to play Larson here outside of just like the recent slump factor, which I will let the field go in on. I have no problem paying up for Larson. I don't think that again, the problem with this slate is like if it runs like the spring race, we're just taking Larson, Blaney, Logano and calling it a day. Just pure play stiff after Larson, but I don't think he's going to lead 200 plus again. I just don't think that's how this fall race goes at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the only caveat I would have there is that if these 2 tires do wear quickly, historically, Kyle Larson, not generally known for his tire conservation ability, but if this is a wall riding type of race and the high line is the optimal line, then that won't matter. He'll be a couple tenths faster regardless of how he takes care of his tires. So I think it is fair to say Kyle Larson is in a bit of a slump right now, but I don't think that means if you give him the best car on a track he's comfortable with, that he's not going to dominate. I still think a lot of Hendrick's issues right now are car and not driver.
Yeah, and with the new tire thing, it's sort of like Bristol, where you want to find this middle ground between tires just shredding and there being no fall off. And it seems like so far NASCAR has not been able to hit that middle ground. It's kind of either one or the other. So if the tires, shredding or whatever, like that's just going to cause a carnage race, whatever. Maybe make some lineups planning on that. But I'd say more of a chance than not. There aren't significant changes here with this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the most likely scenario is that tires are not a significant factor.
Mm-hmm.
Which gets us to Ryan Blaney. Any reason to not play Ryan Blaney here?
He's $10,700. That would be the one reason. The second reason is he's 50% owned.
Let's go through. He's going to get some fast laps probably. So I'll leave this here.
Oh, he's got to project like a motherfucker. Like in 150 maxes, he's going to be so much higher owned than like your hand-buildy single entries.
What do we need from him? Like he's got to have an issue, right? Like even Ryan Blaney's not going to run 15th naturally, probably.
No, he's going to run 11th, like at worst.
So, which is 65, which is probably the optimal. If we go to historical,
Go to the DK average by start and scroll down a little bit. You can just see the trend here. Yeah, we see that as in like optimal fourth, optimal third. I don't know. That's a very expensive for your third to fourth most optimal guy.
yeah,
mean,
and it
maybe
keeps
you're
you from getting like stacking Larson, and like it keeps you from stacking two real dominators.
Yeah, and then I think people may think that Logano. I don't think that people think Logano is going to be an acceptable like pay down option, because I think it's pretty clear to anyone that has eyes, especially people left playing NASCAR now, which are more sharp. Like Blaney obviously has way more juice than Logano.
Yeah, it would seem that way, at least last week, or at was it last week or two? Yeah, New Hampshire. It certainly seemed like Blaney had a lot that Logano didn't have.
Well, this package too. It's just Logano gets like no fast laps, and Blaney gets like at least 20 every time.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, if Blaney gets a top 10, you're gonna feel pretty good, and it would be uncharacteristic in the last 18 months for Blaney with any car to run outside of the top 10. So you're really betting on Ryan Blaney, no top 10. If you're fading here, you can make a case. Listen, Penske was not good in practice, not at all. I suspect that won't end up mattering much, but if you look at his track history, 2 top 5s, and this is really where Blaney started coming into his own. These are pretty average runs for him at the time, and now this is his average run. So I don't
look at the finishes tab too. Just look at his overall form. I'd say this matters a little bit more in the next gen car than previous cars. Like just the overall form has been fucking sick.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's wreck or top 10, and that's what I mean. Like you don't see Blaney very often naturally running outside of the top 10. Like Darlington, I don't really remember what happened, but I suspect he had some sort of issue. A road course, issue, and then everything else is top 5, top 10. So you can tell yourself a story to fade Ryan Blaney, but I don't know how much you would believe it.
Ryan Blaney, the best Nepo baby in NASCAR, easily.
Yeah,
like, he's actually good. Sorry, Chase.
I don't. I mean, Dave Blaney. At least you got a path to the cup, but you know, there's
your dad ran like 18th.
Yeah, he had to forge his own path a little bit, but regardless, I think it's hard to fade Ryan Blaney in this spot. Denny Hamlin starting second. He will be, for me, it's borderline between him and Bell, who your second dominator is. I lean Hamlin just because in the last couple of races we have seen him emerge as a significant player.
Mm-hmm.
He does find trouble a lot at Kansas, but I still think if Toyota, who has been the cream of the crop in the playoffs so far, if Toyota is the speed, if they have the cars to beat, then I suspect Hamlin will lead that charge.
Yeah, I think people are saying JGR completely missed it last week, which is true. Or just Toyota overall just fucking sucked last week, but that's the completely different other package. Intermediate so far. I mean, average late running position of 7th. That's significantly better than anyone else in this field.
Yeah, and very, very fast on long runs. Very, very likely to grab a lot of fast laps. Even if he doesn't necessarily lead, he can still rack up a ton of dominator points.
And if you're doing the chaos second run of, tires go to shit, whatever, Hamlin instantly jumps to the top of tire conservation guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Bell in a similar situation. Bell kind of dominated this race last year, the fall Kansas race. Obviously has a ton of pace again, good long run speed. Just doesn't. It's so close. You could talk me into playing either Hamlin or Bell here. I think I prefer Hamlin. I think the upside's a little higher, but we've seen Bell get control of races and just dominate them. The only thing I would say about Bell is from time to time in this playoffs, he has had execution issues. Obviously put those away a couple weeks ago, but I prefer Hamlin, but Hamlin and Bell are very, very similar upside for me.
I'm going to have to disagree about him dominating races here because, just look at average lead laps, right? The intermediate tracks. Larson 65, Blaney 25, Hamlin 23, Byron 55. Bell won He has not had a nose for the lead at all in this package all year.
Yeah. This year in particular, I guess you're absolutely right.
But he has been good here specifically.
Yeah, let's see. Boom. Yeah, it's been tough this year for sure. Would need a bit of a return to form. So yeah, that's probably what's going to keep Christopher Bell's ownership a little bit lower than Denny Hamlin. Not to mention Denny Hamlin starting on the front row. I think we've seen in in most restarts yesterday, there was no real advantage. It depended a lot on the push you got from behind. So Denny Hamlin certainly could get this lead early and dominate the first stage.
Yeah, and I think last week also, like, we could see Bell being super low owned because he was like the chalk at his best track, and he just was pedestrian.
Yeah, absolutely. William Byron kind of makes a lot of sense too. Kansas traditionally not a great track for him finishing wise, but if we go through the historical, he has a lot of fast laps here. He is capable of getting around here and has been super, super good on the intermediates this year. Probably the best, I would say, save for maybe Larson, but consistently William Byron, almost in a similar situation as Ryan Blaney. Obviously not the PD upside, but it would be very unusual to see William Byron run outside of the top 10 without a major issue.
Yep. He has the speed here. He's kind of like second tier to Larson, probably like right alongside Elliott and Bowman this week instead of being the clear number 2 guy, but definitely a big second fiddle guy here.
Yeah, I think I said that in my notes. Exactly what you just said. Like Larson's clearly tier A here, and I think maybe even Bowman showed a little bit more than Byron, but Byron should be right there. And he runs top 5. He's going to score 60. Kind of needs a top 3 run, I guess, with some fast laps and a few dominator points. It has a pretty tough path to the optimal without some domination at some point.
He doesn't need to dominate either. I think he's very happy to run third at this track just for getting points. He's fine on points,
which is probably a good time for us to stop and take a look at points. Who's in what situation? Chastain, Cindric, Reddick, and Wallace all need points desperately. Briscoe kind of the same way. Gets a little comfier up at Joey Logano, but with the Roval around the corner, I don't think anyone feels particularly safe. So worth noting these as we get to Tyler Reddick, who at one point, 23-11, was winning every race at Kansas. And over the course of the last couple races, I don't think they have more than a top 10, or maybe they don't even have a top 10 since 2023. But Reddick has not been good here the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's been pretty ass. You can see in the odds, too. He's dropped all the way like 25-1. Not showing much in practice either. I mean, he had the good finish at Darlington, but Darlington's like his absolute best track. Here, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
not
been
really seeing it. The only thing is like he's good at the end of races. I think he's second to Hamlin in average late running speed, but I don't know,
pretty elite restarter as well. If this turns into a bunch of restarts at the end, you can see him go from 15th to 5th pretty quick. But you look at the finishes, just not running well right now. There's whether it's the lawsuit stuff affecting him or he's just, whatever it is, Tyler Reddick is not Tyler Reddick right now, and I don't have a lot of interest in playing him at 9,700.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Chase Briscoe is kind of the key to the slate, as he's been a handful of times this year. He starts P1 at a track where he has been terrible at, save for his one race here with JGR, which he wasn't even good in the spring, but he did finish well. Now he starts on the pole with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson breathing down his neck. How long can Chase Briscoe hold the lead here? And if he can hold the lead, can he repeat another top 5 performance at one of, I would say, his worst tracks?
I don't know. There's no track history with him anymore. The thing is, since May, the Charlotte race, the last actual 1.5 mile track, the only track that's even comparable to these intermediates is Darlington, where he fucking dog walked the field. You kind of just got to play him. I think he's 9,500. He's terrific. Like even if Larson just immediately takes the lead, like Briscoe just hangs around. You can see it, and just like the finishes, like it's just that he'll find the lead eventually, like later on in the race too. It's just kind of what he does. Like he tends to lose the lead off of the pole and then just still end up being okay because that first pit stall just really carries him.
Yeah, and I think with Briscoe too, we talked about this on another podcast, but it's the first time I've ever seen somebody stink in the mid run. Like he's super fast on the short run, super fast on the long run, and then always loses 3 or 4 positions in that like 15 to 45 lap range. I don't know what it is about his driving style. Maybe, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him lead like 25 laps in the first stage, get past, hang around in third and fourth, get another 15 or 20 laps on a restart later in the race because he got the lead off pit road or whatever. I do think Chase Briscoe hangs around enough to be relevant here. It's just going to be frustrating if he gets passed early and never regains the lead.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look back at Truex in this car, like he fucking crushed it here.
Yeah,
he would always start like mid to the rear of the field and then just fly up and be super fast. I mean, 95. Why is he 95? He should be like 10.5.
Yeah. It's crazy that earlier in the year he was like 75. Like nobody believed in him, and then
yeah, but only at the short tracks, and now it's like, oh, it's flipped on its head. It's not that great. The short tracks, intermediate tracks, he's like top 5.
So if Briscoe's going to be 30% owned, what are you playing him at in your mini max or in your main run?
Probably like 35. Like
get a little bit of leverage, but not too much.
Yeah, I just pretty much just meet in the field there. Nothing too crazy at this point, though. It's like, I mean, 95 it opens up so much. Like I would rather have Briscoe than Hamlin straight up. Yeah, kind of a bold take there, but like he clearly like he leads so many more laps than Hamlin. Hamlin is very chill with running third.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hamlin in a very good point spot here as well. Plus 27. If he prioritizes stage points, 16 stage points and then a top 5 finish, he's pretty much locked in to the next round. So you've got to keep that in mind as well. Though a win would also lock him into the next round. So who knows? I want to go over Joey Logano. Then I want to ask you a question. Don't forget, but Joey Logano starting 35th, right in front of Ryan Blaney, another guy who was terrible in practice. And honestly, Kansas, he's got a couple wins here, never in the next gen, but Kansas hasn't been a great track for Joey Logano in general.
It's just, you see his finishes, it's always top 20. So like he has floor, he's cash playable. Like I think in cash is very hard this week. I think you have to try to play Larson, Blaney, Logano. I still think that's a way to go. I don't think you go to Keselowski or Busch here, but man, it's kind of awkward making things fit. Like, I don't know. He's a high floor play, but I don't know if he's high ceiling play whatsoever here. Like he does not get fast laps. He's allergic to them. 30-1. Bro is probably going to run mid pack. He has the potential to suck, but I don't know. Not feeling the Logano here. I think he's actually just slow. Like at least Blaney, he was fast. His tire blew, smashed into the wall. That's whatever. Logano just sucked.
Yeah, and I think the other kind of risk that happens here is Paul Wolf will throw a Hail Mary at some point to get him track position, whether that's a 2-tire stop or running long, whatever it may be. There's definitely a bit of boom or bust to it as well, though I do think they will be fairly conservative because their point situation isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So, if he can go and run 15th, that'll probably be a good day for him, but maybe not super fantasy relevant. So,
yeah, I could see him sacking finishing position just for some stage points.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this top, let's throw Chase Elliott in there too.
Yeah, we kind of have to. Can we throw Bubba in there?
Yeah, let's throw Bubba and Chase Elliott in there. Both kind of decent. These are the kind of plays when you go back and look and like, oh, 2 guys that started in the top 10 hit the optimal. It's guys like Chase Elliott in this kind of 9,000 situation. It's guys like Bubba Wallace who started kind of in a weird spot and just ran okay all day. Chase Elliott, I think, does carry race-winning upside here. He was the slowest of the Hendrick cars in practice, but that shouldn't tell you anything. That's just Chase Elliott in practice. this has been a good track for Chase Elliott. And if Kyle Larson isn't as good as we think he'll be, or if Chase Elliott can get in front of him through pit cycle or whatever, Chase Elliott can hold the lead and dominate here and get laps led.
Yeah, and I think the 0 top 5s this year will throw people off for sure. I mean, I'm not personally playing much Elliott at all. He's a good like contrarian play if you think about it like that, right? It's just, you know, we're used to him just starting 24th and finishing 10th. Like it's kind of been his MO. He's like a cash game play, but he doesn't have any place differential. Indeed, an awkward spot for him, but I don't know.
And similar for Bubba, who, again, 2311 was fantastic here years and years ago, but in the last couple of years have not been super competitive. Saving grace for Bubba is
the tire. Look at the 4 races where the tire was ran.
Yeah.
It's like a win, a 6, and like a 3rd. Like, it's good.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other, like, he's very consistent. If we go to his finishes, if he runs okay, or like if he stays out of trouble, he usually runs in the top 8. You know, we can throw out these road courses and super speedways. Pocono, he had an issue. Mexico City road course, but Michigan, Nashville, all of these pretty deep. Like, I really just think Bubba Wallace is just going to run around 7th all day. And that could be enough depending on how the race plays out with all of the potential chalk bombs in the PD plays. A guy like Bubba Wallace starting 7th, running 7th could hit the optimal. And if they find that setup again, then maybe he has a little bit of dominator upside too.
Yeah, he's he's 6th in average lead laps in this package this year. Surprisingly good. Like, that's not something he's done in the past. Like, he's taken a significant step up. I guess the only issue is like recent 2311 struggles.
Yeah, 2311 just hasn't been super good this year, but I do expect to see Bubba Wallace run in the top 10 most of the day. But
and some of the recent finishes, right? Like, they've been bad, but he's led some laps before just wrecking out or finding trouble in these finishes. I don't think they're indicative of how he's been running. Like, again, though, I just saw on there when you're looking at JC, I was like, damn, the 4 races where they ran here is like Michigan, where he ran 4th, Indianapolis, where he won, had the best car, Nashville and Darlington finished 6th at both of them. Like, just really good spots for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I want to get to my question. We've gone through 9 or 10 drivers here. 2 guys in this range are probably going to hit the optimal, if not 3. Probably 2. 2, not 3. Which one of these drivers that we've talked about are you going to have the highest leverage on, do you feel like?
Leverage? Probably Bubba. Because, I mean, like Larson Blaney, there's no leverage to really be had there, right?
Yeah, Blaney, you're not going to get any leverage.
Bell. Byron, interesting, but I mean, Briscoe, it depends if I don't think Briscoe's coming in like low owned or whatever, right? So
no, I don't.
If you're talking negative leverage, maybe Joe Logano, maybe Hamlin, Bell, but
yeah,
positive leverage, probably just Bubba.
Looking at this, like, it's a hard question to answer, right? Because there's no, I mean, Larson would be the obvious answer, but it's really hard to gain leverage on him. If you're going to play him enough to get leverage on Kyle Larson, just bet him to win.
Yeah.
Blaney, Blaney's a free square. You're not going to get leverage on him unless you lock him, which completely ties all of your result to Blaney. I think the only places where you can comfortably go and get some leverage is either Byron or Wallace, or maybe Tyler Reddick if you believe this will be a fence wall riding race, in which case he becomes a little more interesting. But very hard to gain leverage in this upper salary range.
You could gamble and just go Logano over Blaney, fade Blaney. Just say Logano ends up just out finishing him. I don't know. It's tough. If you go a little bit lower, there's some better like leverage plays. I think you click. Yeah, I think you and me are kind of in agreement here. Like Chris Buescher, right?
Yeah,
this is a real sneaky spot for him. But yeah,
I guess the only my only point in that whole spiel
Mhm.
is like if you're not building around Byron, Reddick, or Wallace, your best option here is probably just to try to match the field for the most part through this first range and make all your hay in this lower range.
Yeah,
Starting,
that's what I was
go ahead.
thinking. Like mixing and matching up top. Kansas is like the perfect track to do that because we kind of know who's going to be good here, but we don't know exactly who's going to be the best. There's no clear favorites, right? So a good
And you
mix and match up top is fine. I have way, way, way stronger stances down low. Like I have
yeah,
some damn near locks down low.
and you can set all of these guys to dominators or create stacking rules where you're getting at least two of these guys. Because I do think
Mhm.
you'll see at least two of these guys hit the optimal. It's just a matter of which two.
I mean,
So
the
you can
median price is 8,300. So yeah, unless you're gonna, not spend your salary, you kind of have to anyway.
So yeah, you can set a rule like put all these guys in a group, set the rule, play at least two of these guys in every lineup. I think that would
Mhm.
be an okay for a half run or something like that. Ross Chastain, he starts ninth. He won this race last year, though he wasn't nearly dominant or anything like that. Um, did he win this race last year? Am I tripping? Yeah, he did. Okay,
Yeah,
but he ran.
doesn't seem like it, right?
Yeah, he didn't get the lead until late, right? Yeah, very
Yeah, it
late.
was a beneficiary of the final caution.
Right. Not a dominant car, but Ross Chastain rarely is. Wasn't great in practice. He starts ninth. Has run pretty consistently inside the top 10 or 11 at intermediates all year, but would really need a bit of a standout run here to hit any sort of value.
He would need Charlotte 2.0. I mean, it's the last time we've been a real 1.5. He started 40th and won the race.
Yeah.
He's been fine. He's an okay play, I'd say. He's almost like similar to Bubba, I guess. I don't like him as much as Bubba because he was kind of shitty in practice.
Yeah.
So Bubba was pretty good in practice, but I mean, he's gotten finishes. Like he hasn't been fast or put up fast laps or whatever. But I just look. A lot of that may be due to where he's qualifying. Look, average early running position 18.5, average late 9.8.
Yeah. Finishing really strong. Josh Berry is hilarious that we moved him all the way back up to 8,200 after last week. Starting 13th at 8,200, with the week that Penske has had, you'd have to work pretty hard to convince me that Berry is a good play here. The only thing that he has going for him is he did run pretty well here in the spring, and that was not by accident. He started dead last, drove his way, didn't drive, but strategied his way to the top five and stayed there. And when he lost track position, he gained it back. So Barry was strong here in the spring, but is this a situation where you can play Barry at all, starting 13th at this price?
I mean, having like a good chunk of the field wrecking immediately and being able to drive around him helps. Barry, I don't know. This has been he may have had the most like interesting playoffs that I've seen from a driver anytime recently. Because even last week, like he wrecked. He's wrecked in 4 straight races.
Yeah.
He was just. I mean, Penske was just obviously like leaps and bounds above the field. And he was able to fly back and probably had the best car. But I don't give a shit about that. It's a short flat package. Here, I mean, I don't see any reason to play Barry.
Yeah, I'm with you. Which brings us to Chris Buescher, which I mean, both these guys, Chris Buescher and Alex Bowman. We'll start with Chris Buescher.
Mm.
One of his better tracks, probably should have won here in the spring race of 24, where he got beat by Larson by a crooked line, but was the fastest car on that day, I think, and has brought speed every other time since. The only problem gives me a little bit of pause. Chris Buescher, or RFK as a whole right now, is just okay.
Mm.
It seemed like a stretch in the summer they could have broken out and been competitive with the top tier guys. Seem to have lost that a little bit. But, all signs point to a top 10 type of day for Chris Buescher here.
Yeah, I think he's just going to come in at lower ownership, and like the price is fine. He could be like your 4th guy in a lineup. The one stat with him is like he is by far the driver that has the better like driver rating in the intermediate track package compared to the short flat one. Like it's a ridiculous swing. Now, granted, a lot of that is your bigger tracks like Michigan, Indianapolis, what have you. Like he's better at those, but still, like he very much is live for a top 10. I just don't think a lot of people will think of him that way.
Yeah, if you're gonna get leverage on a guy like Chris Buescher, who we expect to be somewhere between 12 and 17% owned, how high would you go? Into the 20s?
I mean, I would. The thing with Buescher is, he would just be like my brake pad, or like the $12 SE, like sort of differentiator sort of play.
Right.
So kind of quality over quantity lineups with him. That's at least my approach here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Brings us to Alex Bowman, who is just a wizard at Kansas, has been terrible at intermediates this year, like all-time terrible season on intermediates. But
has he been, or is he just wrecked? Because when he hasn't wrecked, like he's finished really well. He's ran really well in a lot of those races where he's wrecked. It's just been really unfortunate, the finishes. But yeah, people are gonna look at the track history and lock him in.
Yeah, and for good reason. Like, just so good at Kansas, was really good in practice, almost as good as Larson. I think Larson had a little more pace later in the run, but not by much, like insignificant amounts. He starts 17th. He would need almost an outlier run not to hit the optimal here. He's been top 10 every race here in the next gen, I think, save for maybe one. No, it has been every single race in the next gen. He has finished in the top 10. So we're in a situation where we need an outlier run to keep Alex Bowman out of the optimal. It's a play I really like here.
Just know that if you look at the optimals here historically, he's like going to be your fourth or fifth guy in. Those guys are averaging between 50 and 60 fantasy points, so he's going to actually need to do a bit more.
So let's look at this. Alex Bowman, where did I lost him? There he is. Boom. He starts 17th. We get him an 8th place start. He's going to score around 50.
Yeah, he's going to like a top 5, or he's going to need to rack up fast laps again,
which he can do at Kansas. He's very fast. So
yes,
maybe I'm getting a little too excited, but still a play that I really like. And there haven't been a lot of opportunities to play Alex Bowman this year. So
yeah, I think the field likes him too. I think he is one of the more loose projections ownership wise, because I think people will go crazy over the track history. That's just my hunch, and then the practice on top of that.
Yeah, the other guys in this range worth mentioning: Brad Keselowski starts 31st. Kansas just not been a great track for him. He's been okay at the intermediates recently, the last couple times, but Kansas just not a great track for Brad Keselowski.
I don't like Kez or Kyle Busch here at all. I don't think they have the upside. I think Kez could take a Hail Mary and maybe get the optimal that way, and then I'd just be okay losing to that. But yeah, I don't like Keselowski, and I certainly don't like Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Kyle Busch you could kind of talk me into, because he has he's gonna spin 9 times and curse at his crew chief 10 times, but he still does manage to get decent runs on intermediates.
Lower owned too.
But it just, this RCR Kyle Busch situation has not been great, save for a single outlier win for Austin Dillon at Richmond. There's not much here.
Yeah. This whole range here, I feel forced by gunpoint to play Cindric, because so many lineups end up in this range, and I do not want to play Ty Gibbs. Hocevar is a little bit interesting only because of that. His odds have fucking skyrocketed overnight. I don't know what it was between last night. I think I grabbed the odds last night, the first ones that were posted, and he was 25-1, and then I woke up this morning, he's 15-1.
Yeah, he definitely shortened up. I don't mind. So yeah, let's go back. Ty Gibbs, probably not.
Just dog shit, this package.
Yeah, hasn't been good on intermediates this year. Only has 1 top 10 back at Spring Darlington. Austin
only has 1 top 20.
Yeah, that's crazy. Austin Cindric, really bad at Kansas. Not a great track for him. But was the only Penske car that showed any sort of anything in practice. Which gives me hope for Blaney and Logano that they'll probably get whatever Cindric had. And
he needs it points wise, like Cindric. They need an all-in effort on Cindric.
Yeah, so I don't mind playing Cindric here, but it still seems like he's probably got to get a top 10, which would be his first or his second top 10 on an intermediate this year, and his first top 10 at Kansas in some time.
Yeah.
Just a lot of things need to go right for Cindric.
Are we playing Hocevar?
I'm playing Hocevar. I'm playing Hocevar. Listen, I think he'll stay in the top 10. He's going to get fast laps. He's going to be the show all day. unless he wrecks, he's not going to fall outside of the top 10. I don't think he's too fast.
Boy, does he wreck. I mean, you can see on the history there, tons of wrecks, but we know he was fast before wrecking in those. Like, it's an interesting one. I think the odd shift is significant.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that we have to worry about a little bit is if these tires do wear, that is not
that's
going to
terrible.
be a friend to Hocevar, because he is not one known for elite tire conservation skills.
No, I'm really digging the 2 domination station runs. Like maybe like 80% of your lineup's just standard a Kansas run, and then like maybe like a 10 to 20% run of just like this tire shit, and we have like Bristol all over again.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see that, and I do think we'll see Hocevar be a pretty decent play. And Hocevar finishes 8th, scores 40. Probably not. Like, he probably still needs to, if he doesn't get a ton of fast laps, needs to stay in the top 5, top 6. But he's done that pretty consistently on intermediates. Like, he's been fast at intermediates this year, and this is a track in theory you would think Hocevar with a fast car suits pretty well.
Think about it. He needs almost like 50 points. I think he's going to need to either rack up fast laps or get the lead. That's kind of the issue I'm having here. He's just starting really high.
Yeah.
There will be play stiff he has to go up against.
Yeah, there's a ton of play stiff here, which is why you're going to get him so cheap leverage-wise. But I don't mind it. Listen, I don't mind it. You can't play Hocevar on the sports books anymore, so if you want to play him, it's got to be in DFS.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to Ryan Preece, who's in an interesting spot. He's been pretty consistent on the intermediates, probably the most consistent of all the RFK cars. Ran top 10 here in the spring, which at the time was an outlier performance for him.
Now it's standard for him, yeah.
Yeah, now it's just kind of the standard for him, and I think you're going to see interception in the football game. I'm dual screening right now. I do think you'll see a similar type of run from him. Do we get a top 10?
Is a top 10 enough? The problem is he qualified 19th. I love Priest, but I don't think there's enough for him here. Like, we need him to push like 50 almost.
7th?
Yeah. I mean, he could definitely get a 7th. That's where he finished in the spring. It's just.
But how did he run in the spring?
I love me some Priest. Oh, he was very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a tough Priest usually. It's just I wish he qualified where he usually qualifies in like 28, and we don't have to think about this.
Yeah, I do find myself probably going to be matching or a little bit overweight on Priest. I don't think you can be underweight because I do think there is that kind of top 10 upside, but I don't know. It's not an obvious smash play or anything. Michael McDowell.
Board. I mean, McDowell easiest fade.
Yeah. He has a stop and go penalty at the start. He'll be a lap down to start this race, if not a lap and a half to 2 laps. Needs to recover that, and then would need to put on an outlier performance with that handicap. So not super interesting there. AJ Allmendinger is really, really interesting because he has been really, really good on intermediates and been really, really good in practice the last couple weeks for some reason. This team is bringing a lot of speed, and now he starts 20th. At a track where he's not great at, but he's had outlier performances at Darlington, at Charlotte, at Las Vegas, at Homestead. Not Homestead. Homestead's a good track for him, but what do you see here with AJ Allmendinger?
I see he's really good. The only concern I have for him are those top 10 runs. He qualified top 10 for most of them. I still think you have to have a good amount of him here. Like, he's one of 3 guys down low that I'm quite a fan of.
Yeah. How did he do here? Oh, he wrecked right away here in the spring.
Yeah, that's just a wash.
Let's go back. Oh, he didn't run this race last year. So really not a lot to go off of when it comes to AJ Allmendinger. But
yep, no track history. Maybe the lack of reps isn't all that great, but yeah, we've seen pretty elite speed out of him.
And a guy, too, that's a little bit underrated when it comes to wall riding. He's very good on the wall. So if this does migrate to the top, it could be advantage Allmendinger. So it's going to be hard to get leverage on him. I wouldn't be comfortable going to 30% on him to get plus 9 leverage, but probably a guy you're going to match the field on.
Yeah, surprisingly for a road course guy, he's a road course guy first and foremost, but his second best track type by far are steep tracks. That's something to consider here. Like his Darlington run was very legitimate. He was running better than fifth. Like he was like a third, fourth place car.
Yeah.
Dylan, we can skip. Like whatever.
We talking about Austin Dillon? Probably not.
No.
Not much upside there. Eric Jones, things get a little interesting. He overqualified, but he's been really good.
Has he or did he? I don't know.
Well, yeah,
he's like a 10th place car. Like Legacy has been so good in this package, so good.
Intermediates have been super, super good for Legacy and Eric Jones in particular, and back in the Joe Gibbs days anyway. Kansas, or I guess even in the old gen car, Kansas was a very good track for Eric Jones, no matter what he was driving. Mm-hmm. Has had some trouble in the next gen, save for a third place finish here in 2023, but certainly playable if you think he can stay in the top 10. And if Legacy brings what they had at Darlington, race winning contenders as well. I don't think they have that here, but still probably a fine play if you want to sprinkle them in.
Yeah, and even the last two finishes for him, he just immediately wrecked. He qualified 16th in both those races. Like there was some speed in the car, so I don't know. He's not a complete fade. I just think if people are getting Legacy, they're probably just going to go to JHN.
Yeah, which is maybe my favorite play on the slate. Kansas is a great track for JHN. He ran well here, even when Legacy didn't have any pace. Was always very good here in the Xfinity Series. Ran well here back in the day when he got starts with, I think it was Ganassi. He starts 25th, has run top 10 in more than a handful of intermediate tracks this year. I think you could get a 12th out of him. I think you could get a 10th out of him.
Do you see the under the green flag stats? Do you see the number of laps completed? 1975. He's completed the most laps of anybody in the field at this track type. So very safe play.
Yeah, one I love. I really think John Hunter's a good play here, and I think Eric Jones is playable as well. Shane Van Gisbergen is not playable. He has the same stop and go penalty that Michael McDowell will have, and would need an outlier run anyway. He did finish 20th here in the spring, but that was without starting a lap or two down. So not a whole lot there. Noah Gragson, you can sprinkle him in. Like, I don't mind playing Gragson at like 8 or 9% because he has shown the ability to run top 15. And if some of those chalk plays bomb, a guy like this becomes pretty valuable. The only problem is I think he'll go over owned because I think people are going to jam him in to try to get Larson, Blaney, and Logano all in the same lineup. So I think it'll be harder than you think to get leverage on a guy like Gregson, who does have borderline top 15 upside.
I just don't know if it's enough. He's just starting a little too high here.
Yeah, that's the problem. He would need.
And there are other like way more obvious plays,
like Suarez, which I will. I don't know. Suarez has had good runs on intermediates, but as of late, not only bad pace but bad execution. Like just an out of sync race team so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he's a dead dog on his way out. Like. Enjoy running for like Spire next year or something.
Or JRM. Who knows? Stenhouse starting 18th, not much there. Would need a real kind of Texas style run, which this team just doesn't have that type of pace anymore.
I mean, let's talk about the only car left, shall we?
Okay.
The best play on the slate, easily the best play on the slate, Zane Smith.
Yes.
Like he was on pace to he was going to qualify like 13th. If he didn't fuck up the last turn there. Like, let's be real here. Super fast in practice. Just if you take out that wreck at Charlotte, 6 straight top 17 finishes in this package. Also 2 straight top 17 finishes here at this track. Like, well, what's not to love about $5,500 Zane Smith? What the fuck is that price?
Yeah, that's crazy, especially when you consider his intermediate track finishes. And I think Hocevar gets a lot of the headlines for being like fast, like the new Zane Smith is just as impressive as Hocevar for me. He doesn't make the same mistakes. He doesn't push a top 15 car into the top 10 the way Hocevar does, but he also doesn't wreck every other race. So I think Zane Smith is, just as valuable as Hocevar, and you're getting Zane Smith at 5,500 versus Hocevar at 7,100. I think this is a really good spot.
I mean, look at the odds straight up compared to Gilliland. right? He's 120. Gilliland's 300. Gilliland is supposed to be the one in the front row A car, but like it's clear that Zane Smith is by far the most talented front row driver.
Yeah. Zane Smith, very, very good. So yeah, I think that's probably where you're going to get most of your leverage in this range, is playing Zane Smith at a pretty high clip. I mean, he doesn't need to do much. What's his worth? I mean, even 23rd probably doesn't hit you the optimal, but it doesn't kill your lineup, and that would be one of his worst runs of the year on an intermediate. I think much more probably you're going to get like a 16th, a 15th.
Yeah,
it's going to give you 40 points.
And that's a smash. Like, I have him at 32%. That's where he should be owned. Guys that cheap tend not to go that high owned. We will see. Yeah, I have no idea what he's going to actually end up being. He could be like 21%. He could be 40%, but it doesn't matter for me. I'll have like 60, 70% Zane Smith. He's such a good play.
I'm with you. Anybody else in this range you want to talk about, or are they all just kind of carnage plays?
No. These plays all suck. Even Ty Dillon. Poor Ty started off the season so good at this in this package, but he's kind of settled into being pretty shitty.
Yeah, I had that kind of miracle run in the summer during the in-season challenge, but
speedways and shit. Yeah,
it's almost like they used all their resources in that stretch and have since just not been able to produce fast cars. JJ Yaley also not playable, has a good finish. Okay, let's go over to the sports books and see what they're saying. Let me refresh this because this is probably New Hampshire. Yeah, there we go. Start over on DK. Larson, the rightful favorite here, and then Denny Hamlin second is about where I would have it. Is there anything here? Hocevar available at plus 2,200 on this book. Anything here that jumps out at you?
I mean, I'm not taking it, but you definitely have to shop around. So I found like places like Bet365, Hard Rock, sometimes Caesars will have just wildly different odds on some of these mid-pack guys. I don't think Bowman's a race winner. That's kind of interesting at 25-1 there.
Yeah, I think the other thing that stands out for me is at this point in the season, Blaney at plus 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't like if they have any speed at all, and Austin Cindric did, so Penske does have the ability to put fast laps together. It's not going to be hard for Blaney to cut through this field, and if he does have a fast car and they do have some speed on intermediates, Blaney at plus 1,800 becomes interesting to me, and even more interesting playing him in like a top 10, top 5 type of situation, and then fading him in DFS is kind of interesting as well.
Oh yeah, I like that hedge a lot there. I mean, maybe Bubba a little bit interesting, just starting up front and being really good. Just at this track type, and I guess this tire overall, but I don't know. He's like adequately priced, as where most of these guys are wildly overpriced, so it's still not a complete cosign. But
yeah, to that earlier point, Blaney.
Oh my God, Bowman.
Bowman top 10.
Why is Bowman 2.2?
But yeah, that's a way to do it, is fade Blaney and then play him to finish top 10 to kind of hedge.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's almost even money for him. Anything else? Oh, I wanted to look at stage 1 winner. These are always, I love playing stage bets. I love stage 1 winner. It's been tough recently because pole sitters keep.
It's been tough for me because they IP banned me on Bet365. I found out that was the case. I'm just banned for arbitraging. RIP.
I can't play on Bet365 either anymore, but okay, it's not even loading for me right now. So we'll get back to that. I want to go to the driver matchups here and see if anything stands out. Chastain versus Reddick, with juice to Reddick. Probably not much there. Anything here stand out to you? Jones versus Buescher.
On. Maybe Byron over Briscoe just for the price. I don't know. These are so juiced.
Oh, here we go. SVG versus Ty Dillon.
Huh.
How about Ty Dillon versus Cody Ware?
Well, they're having really deep this week. That's kind of interesting.
You don't usually see these during. You see these these good matchups for the first 4 weeks of the NASCAR season and then never again. It's very rare we get these deep ones.
Ty
late in
versus
the-
SVG, I don't know. Because SVG is going. He's going back a lap to start the race, but I mean, Ty Dillon's going to go back a lap just naturally.
There's some good ones. How about Ty Dillon versus Riley Herbst? I'd almost go Herbst there.
They both suck. But
But
yeah, I
Herbst
probably
at least
would go Herbst.
At least has a 2311 car. Herbst, how's his intermediate?
Herbst just finished as 28th. Like,
That's a win. That's a win.
they have like
Bell,
Custer versus
win.
Herbst or something because Custer is just hard locked into like 23rd place.
Yeah, I don't
Like he's very predictable. You know what he's gonna do. He may be someone to attack if they're doing these like scrub matchups.
Has Cody Ware ever beat Ty Dillon on an intermediate? Win. Kansas in the spring.
No, he hasn't. Yeah.
Otherwise, win.
If you go back a year, if you look at 2024, yeah, several times, but
I don't know. I might play Ty Dillon there. He's only beat him once on an intermediate track this year. Okay, what did I want to do? I wanted to look at NASCAR. Okay. I do want to look at stage. Is it possible that Stake has stage up? Stock car racing.
I can see it. It's Larson plus 300 for stage 1, Briscoe plus 350, Bell plus 400, Hamlin plus 400, Byron plus 900, Elliott plus 900.
Yeah, see, the issue I have there is I just don't know. I think the three scenarios are Briscoe holds the lead and gets passed by Hamlin late in the run. Larson is just the fastest car and nobody can touch him at all. Or there is a caution with 20 laps to go and half the field pits and Ty Gibbs wins the first stage. So I don't know if there's anything there that's super interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, it's too short. Like, that sounds like there's huge hold there too. Like, there's a lot of plus 300s.
Which means that, yeah, it kind of goes to the point of there just being SMT on Discord if you want to pull it that way. But yeah, it is just kind of wide open up front. Like there's no clear favor. Even like Larson is like right there with Briscoe, Bell, Hamlin. I was a little surprised that Hamlin and Bell are the same, but I think it's just because they know Hamlin just loves to run second and third early on.
Can I talk you into Zane Smith top Ford plus 2,200? No.
Sure.
You could talk me into Ryan Blaney top Ford plus 300. Like
Zane Smith plus 2,200 top Ford actually makes a lot of sense with Blaney and Logano starting so far back. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
If you run this 22 times, surely wins like once or twice. Yeah.
Top Toyota, nothing jumps out. Top Chev. I would like to get longer on Carson Hocevar, but probably nothing there. Winning manufacturer.
Oh God, Ford was plus 250 a few days ago. Now they're plus 500. Like they're throwing. No, it wasn't even. It was yesterday. It was last night on Bovada. Ford was plus 250. They're plus 500. That's unfortunate for them.
So I'll say the way because nothing here is jumping out at me in terms of win odds or anything. I would say the way that I'm going to approach this is watching Logano, Blaney, and Cindric's lap times in that first stage. If any of them are turning anything close to top 3, top 5 lap times, I'm smashing Ryan Blaney at plus 2,000 because he'll when they switch from pre to live, they just carry over these odds and take a little juice. So he'll probably, when it goes live, be plus 1,800. If any of the Penske cars show anything in that first run, I am betting Blaney at plus 1,800 because the minute he gets into the top 10 or into the top 15, he's going to shorten up to plus 1,000. We know that. The minute he shows up on screen, they will shorten him immediately. So that's the way I would probably attack this. I'm not going to bet him pre-race. Just we'll see what the lap times look like, but that's how I'm going to attack this race. I don't see anything else here that super interests me other than Zane Smith top 10, Alex Bowman top 10. Shop around for those lines, and then maybe
there's got to be some good Bowman top 10s out there. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Win pick.
I mean, I'm not picking like Larson or whatever. So give me Bubba Wallace. I'm a big Bubba guy today.
Bubba bounce back week. I would say Larson too, if that was acceptable. But I do think you could see a guy like Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman be competitive here. I wouldn't mind that, but I do think Kyle Larson wins. I think there's also a chance that Chase Briscoe just dominates again.
Yeah,
like just Darlington's and leads every lap. So we'll leave it
I'm
there.
playing DFS as if that's a real possibility. Believe me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll leave it there. Pre-lock show starting in 10 minutes over Josiah and the guys have a really great show set up. So stay on Exactly. Stay on the DFS Army channel. Get all set up for if you've spent the morning looking at NASCAR and you're not ready for NFL. Josiah and the gang will get you all sorted out there. Head on over to dfsarmy.com if you like any of these tools that I've showed. Like I said, this research station is my Bible at this point. Most important thing in my life is this research station. You get that. You get access to the Discord. You get access to the Domination Station, which very helpful for NASCAR in these types of situations where there's a couple different scripts you want to play out. You can generate 200 lineups in an instant, go through them, tweak them, do whatever you want. Very useful. And there's also I don't have DraftKings logged in, but in NFL, the new pocket qualifiers, 1 cent entry.
You got to get those in on Wednesday or whatever.
And the Domination Station has been dominating those contests. I think Geeks got 3 tickets for that already. A bunch of other members have it. So if you want, head on over to dfsarmy.com, get signed up using code TACO, which I think gives you something.
Lifetime 10% off.
Lifetime 10% off. What more?
It's worth in the long run.
So enjoy the race today. Should be a good one. Enjoy the football. We will be back next weekend for the Roval, one of my favorite races of the year, and a triple header, which includes a Friday afternoon truck race.
Yeah, and then maybe DraftKings will listen to my emails and finally give us a without SVG slate.
That would be fantastic. I think Zilich is running the truck race, and I think both Zilich is running the Xfinity in the truck, and SVG is running Cup. So should be a fun weekend. Can't wait. We will see you all next week. Enjoy the race and get signed up. DFSarmy.com.
Helmets up.